So welcome back, everybody. As you can see today, we're over here at our river property and we're continuing to develop it. So one important thing that we need is some power to our new pole barn that we just put up. Now we're going to be going over a lot in this episode, from wiring in RV plugs, running power out here, receptacles, lights, and all that kind of stuff. And we've got to get inspections throughout this process. This video is going to go over multiple days. Let me show you what we're starting on today so we can get our initial inspection done. All right, y'all, so here is our 30 by 48 pole barn that we just got put up. Huge shout out and thank you to Backwoods Building. This is where I get all my barn kits from. But this barn is ultimately going to give us a huge area to start doing storage. So not only are we going to put a camper underneath here while we're going to stay in it and we start building our house, we're still working on the house location and house plans. We'll have an update for y'all on that. But I need lights out here. I need power out here. We'll be running saws and tools, cutting materials for building the home. Plus we need an area to stage all of our building materials, keep them out of the weather. So it made sense to go ahead and do the barn first, but we need that power. Hopefully you've done seen the episode where I just got my newest attachments in. This is a trenching bucket from a company called Rhinox right here. Y'all been doing so much trenching here lately and constantly having to rent a trencher. It made sense to go ahead and get something myself, but this is such a unique attachment to where I can trench and actually dig water lines, power lines like we're doing today. By the way, we're also gonna run water over here, but I can do it with a piece of equipment that I already own. Now I don't have to keep running to town and renting a ditch witch. So you can see the line that we just painted over to our power pole. And we're going to be running an underground feeder line to a sub panel that we're going to mount over here that's going to have an RV plug on it, a receptacle, and it's basically going to act, even though it's an RV pedestal, it's going to act as a sub panel. Then we can eventually run lights out, switches, things such as that. As you can see, I'm on very uneven ground, so we may have to hand dig some of this up here. And I got a lot of roots to go through as well. Yeah, these roots are going to make this a bit difficult. All right, so while I'm waiting on the plumbing and glue to set up, I'm jumping back. So you're about to see me install all the plumbing, but let's talk about this RV pedestal or disconnect here, because I'm sure a lot of y'all are very curious about it. By the way, we had the inspector come out yesterday. We passed inspection, so I feel comfortable talking about this. I am not a certified electrician. We're allowed to pull our own permits here, and you've got to understand, even though I've read NEC and looked at some of the codes on this stuff, it may vary just in your local area. Literally state by state, department by department can have their own set of rules, so follow this stuff with a grain of salt. All right, so coming from my temporary power pole over there, we've got an 8-2 wire run underground. It's a UF wire, and that wire is rated for direct burial. The only reason I even have a piece of conduit right here is because of protection, weed eating, coming by with the mower, things such as that. I did not run conduit all the way underground. That is not required with underground burial wire. So that comes up and in here. This is where people are gonna question me. I did a bunch of loops of wire in here because we're in a flood zone. I may have to raise this down the road. Speaking of, you technically can't go any higher than your top breaker at 6 foot 6 inches, which is somewhere up in here. So I can raise up about another foot. That's why I left some wire fill in there. Your inspector may or may not allow that. I've got stuff coated anywhere near an area where it could touch something, but your box could look cleaner than this. Now this is a new type of RV box that I'm starting to see. Instead of just putting that single 30 amp travel trailer plug in, there's a lot of boxes starting to offer 20 amp power right here for an extension cord, as well as your 30 amp power plug. You can also run 50 amp. Small travel trailers like this are commonly on that small 30 amp plug. A 50 amp RV, you're actually gonna have to run 4 conductor wire over here because it's got 2 120 legs, a shared neutral, and a ground. 50 amp RVs are typically ones with multiple ACs, your big fifth wheels, but your most common type for small travel trailers is this 30 amp that I'm showing you here. But you can get this box to do 50 amp or 30. So as you can see coming in, we've got 1 black hot, 1 neutral, 1 ground feeding our panel here. Or if you're gonna do a 50 amp RV, you could put another hot over here to another breaker, and then you would have a 4 wire hookup instead of 3 on a 50 amp RV plug. I'm just gonna run a jumper over because the nice thing about these panels too, they act like a sub panel. You've got knockouts on the side. I've already knocked one out, knockouts on the bottom, and I can put an additional breaker in to run things like lights in my barn, which is what I'm about to do. So I really like these panels for the fact that they act as a sub panel, but they also give you your RV plug, an additional servicing plug, 20 amp outlet to run tools and all, which I'll need under this barn. I'll be doing some work out here for building house materials and things such as that. And it still gives you the option to add another breaker for lights and all. So it's a really, really nice box. Got this off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. So this may help you with inspection and code. If I were to just have an RV pedestal out here with this on there, or an RV pedestal out there with a single receptacle. Here's the way the National Electrical Code describes it. The line coming from that power pole out here to a single receptacle, not a panel with disconnects. That would be called a multi-wire branch circuit. As a result, you would not run a ground to ground rods like you've seen me beat down, because that is your last disconnecting device over there. The National Electric Code also talks about if you're running to a separate structure with a final disconnect device, you're gonna wanna run ground, because some people are gonna question me on running additional ground rods. We're already grounded back at the first power pole. Being this is technically a separate structure from over there, although that's not a structure, and we have what's called a feeder line run here. The NEC says I need to ground, and I passed inspection with this. All right, so here it is next day, and we've just made a trip over here late afternoon to drop off some equipment for a bunch of work tomorrow. So y'all have seen the way I've had to load up here. We're a decent drive from the house, and only having one equipment trailer, one truck obviously, needing to get everything in one trip has been interesting to figure out. But y'all, if you're trailer shopping, I really want to remind y'all something. We talk about this a lot on the channel. If you decide to go with something like a tilt trailer, which I'm still absolutely in love with, and yes, there is no perfect trailer. I understand that some are going to need ramps for double loading, but a lot of people ask me why I don't want to go with a full tilt deck trailer. Well, this is exactly the reason why. Because this 22-foot trailer gives me, it looks like about 5 to 6 foot of room up here to put pallets and baskets. I need to bring firewood over here. We're pretty much almost completely out. I love having this staged and permanent section for putting buckets and things like that on there, and then the tilt section for the equipment. This would actually be the perfect setup for somebody with a skid steer, for example. They could put pallet loads of stuff up here, and you've still got plenty of room on this trailer for a skid steer. Here's something else that's making this a one-trip possible type of thing. This attachment right here to go on the front of my excavator. I've only showed it once. It's one of those attachments you don't use often, but oh my goodness, when you need it, is it handy. This dipper buddy is what they call it. Right here from Bommalite allows me to connect to the front of my excavator. I can put on tractor front skid steer type equipment. Well, forks, for example. Now I can offload, 1,400 pounds worth of firewood right here. And we're gonna put a basket on those forks to work up in the rafters, hanging all my lights and running all my electrical. So now essentially I have a portable man lift. This right here is going to be huge for me for all the work that we're about to do in this episode. All right, so while I'm not condoning doing this with your mini excavator, I'm over here by myself. I have to work like 16 feet in the air, close to it, and I need a good way to do that. Well, the basket on the front of my excavator is an awesome way for me to have a man lift platform without having to go rent a man lift, a very expensive one, by the way. But because I have so much weight out in the front of my excavator, I just built this. I'm gonna do a quick flashback to the shop where I built this very heavy duty support brace. And you'll see I put a bunch of holes in it, the big heavy duty tractor pin, and I can make it adjustable based on how high up I wanna go. Because once we start building our house over here, I'm gonna have to go up even higher than this to work on it. I still may have to rent a man lift for working over there because it may be higher than this excavator can reach, but I can realistically work probably 18, 20 feet if I go on up, and I made this adjustable to do that kind of work as well. So now I've got a very heavy duty leg right here that's helping hold the front of this. Obviously we can't fall backwards, but we can go forward. So should I lose hydraulic pressure for any reason, which is highly unlikely, I have a very heavy duty support leg right here holding this. All right, so we're making really quick progress now thanks to that basket, although, as Tiffany said, kind of sketchy. Yeah, I'll admit that it is. But trying to put all that in, 10-foot runs of conduit, running wire, electrical, hanging lights, all off of a ladder would not work. I would have to make hundreds of trips up and down, getting tools, getting individual things. I can have everything staged in that platform over there in the basket, and it's making work a breeze. So before I hang this last light up here, let me show you what I'm using. And I'm very intrigued by these because they're actually going to benefit us whenever we go off grid. So this is now my third barn. I'm putting a set of these lights in right here. It's from a company called Hyperlight. I have them in my metalworking shop, and I just put 4 of these, well, slightly different style, in my firewood processing barn. And y'all have seen that video. They are unbelievably bright. By the way, I've had these in my metal shop or my metal barn for several years now. I've never had one go bad. They're totally worth the money. They really are. So here's what intrigued me about this style right here. This is something brand new they're offering. I pulled off a little cover right here. I know it's gonna be hard to see, but you see the dip switches in there? Over here on the side, I can get it to where you can see up top, has a high, medium, and low. They're adjustable wattage, which I love, and the dip switch down below, it has 4K, 5K, and 6K. That is the color, so you can change the temperature of the lights as well. Now, the reason I really enjoy that, because I can go all the way up to 150 watts on these, which is what I have at the firewood barn. Unbelievably bright. By the way, they offer bigger models than this as well. I'm going to go to 120 in the middle, and once we get the house that's hopefully going to go over there off grid, I'm probably going to convert these all down to 80 watts. But since I'm doing 5 lights out here instead of 4 like I did at my last barn, we're going to go in the middle to 120 to still save some power and cut the brightness down some, but we can go all the way down to 80 watts. That's a really cool feature. I'm going to play around with the color as well. I think I'm going to stay around 5K at the moment. 4K is starting to get more towards your warm colored light. 6K is your super bright white light. 5's kind of what we all know is a standard white light. I think it'll be good for working out here. But I really do like this feature that I can turn the wattage and brightness up and down. The other thing I should mention that this company offers for free, reach out to them if you want to. I'll put links down. We're using so much product out here today. I know you're going to be curious about it. I get questions all the time. We'll put links in the description. But you can reach out to this company, give them the size barn that you have. That's what I did. And they'll do a free lighting layout and recommend the brightness, the series. They have all different kinds of lights, where you should put them in the barn. And they'll need to know like eave heights, the heights you're going to hang the light, and then they can calculate the throw and the spread to make sure you're getting even coverage out there. That's very important in like warehouses, your shops, things such as that, to where you don't want shadows casting in a work area, say if you're welding or something like that. So let's hang this last one up. You can see what I'm doing. I'm hanging it on the angle iron up there, tightening it down. That's working really well, but just in case we ever get hurricanes or something that could blow the light off, I don't think that'll happen. These already come with cables that I can clip over the angle iron, so if they ever blew off, you got a safety cable here as well. And then toward the end of this video, we'll come out here at nighttime and kick these on, because I'm going to be very curious to see how bright it is. I bet it's going to be amazing, even though I'm turning the wattage down a little. All right, so I'm talking to y'all, and I know you probably can't see me. It's almost dark here, but not quite. So we're going to walk around and kick these lights on. We're underneath the barn. I'm about to step up from underneath it. You might be able to see my face right here. Maybe. I can't see in the camera. But look behind me as I flip the switch for these lights. Let's check it all out. Oh, okay. We have light. So y'all, check this out. Oh my goodness. And here's the thing I want to remind y'all. That's 5 lights. Man, it looks like I could have did less, honestly. And I have them on the medium setting, the 120 watt setting. They'll go up to 150, and I can knock them all the way down to 80 watts, which again, I'm super excited about for the fact of solar power, and we'll be running off of battery power eventually. And I'm loving what I'm seeing. So obviously, whenever they built my little diagram showing casting and shadows and height of the barn, before they sent me the proposal of what type of lights and wattage and all, they got it right. Look, no shadowing effect, no, you don't see the circle from this light, circle from that light. I can't stand that. So there's no shadow spots, no darkness. This looks awesome. Now look at how much light we have out here to work, do whatever we need. I can work after dark. And again, I can turn these up brighter than this. I don't know why I would ever need it brighter than this. Or we can turn it down. Look how far out in the yard it goes. This is crazy. All right, so this is what I love about these lights. This is the third barn that I have them in, and they work exactly as described. These are also waterproof rated, by the way, IP65 if I remember correctly. I do have 2 on each end that's kind of gonna get some little rain splash. Hopefully they'll hold up. We'll for sure let you know on that. All right, this is awesome, y'all. We got power to the barn. We have water to the barn. This is amazing. Now we have a place to work, a place to park, a place to sleep if we need to. Now we can continue to move forward for working on house plans and trying to get something done down here. But a barn is a critical piece of infrastructure, so to speak, to store all the materials, to do the work that we need to continue to develop the property. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, man. We had some awesome, cool attachments, tools, lighting, everything else. Like I said, I'll put it down in the description. We have water out here now, thanks to an awesome trencher. We have some amazing lighting out here. And let's don't forget the barn structure itself. Y'all, I can't give these guys a shout out enough right here. Backwoods Buildings, y'all have asked me, I've literally had hundreds if not thousands of comments over the years asking about these type of barns. This is how they benefit us: work area, storage area, camper RV area, parking area, all these types of things. A huge shout out and thank you to all the people that watch our content and allow us to do this stuff, all the companies that support us. Go check them out, go support them. Thank y'all so much. We'll catch you on the next one.